19th session of the Assembly. As the first item, I wish to return to the matter of arrears. In accordance with established practice, the Bureau has recommended that the Assembly grant exemptions to the loss of voting rights for the following state parties who have made such a request: the Republic of Congo, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, and the Republic of Comoros. May I take it that the Assembly agrees? I see no objection. It is so decided. This afternoon, we will proceed to the introduction and adoption of resolutions. We will then hear the report of Credentials Committee, and finally, we will adopt the report of the 19th session of the Assembly. As regards the draft resolutions to be adopted, I would like to ask those delegations that have linguistic or editorial corrections to the text in any of the languages to please submit them directly to the Secretariat. The corrections will then be incorporated in the official records. We will first consider item 17, consideration and adoption of the budget for the 19th financial year. Here, we take up first the report of the working group on the program budget, the draft resolution on the program budget for 2021, and finally, the proposed program budget for 2021 itself. First, we will turn to the report of the working group on the program budget. The report is contained in document ICC ASP/19/WGPB/CRP.1, which was submitted by the coordinator, Ambassador Andres Terán Paral of Ecuador, after working group's meeting yesterday. May I take it that the Assembly wishes to adopt the report which is contained in the document I referred to? I see no objection. The report of the working group is adopted. The Assembly shall now take action on the draft resolution on the program budget for 2021, contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.4, which was introduced to the Assembly at the third plenary meeting on the 15th of December, i.e. yesterday. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking action on the draft resolution? I see none. May I take it that the Assembly wishes to adopt draft resolution ICC ASP/19/L.4 without a vote? I see no objection. Draft resolution referred to in the document is adopted without a vote. Is there any delegation wishing to explain its position after the adoption of the resolution? I'll give the floor to Belgium. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I am making this statement on behalf of the following states parties: Argentina, Austria, Belgium, Costa Rica, Finland, Ireland, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Mongolia, the Netherlands, Norway, Slovenia, South Africa, Sweden, and Switzerland. Mr. President, we wish to reiterate our call for a budget that is in line with the needs of the court and express our concern about the extremely fragile liquidity situation of the court. In our view, it is essential to find the right balance between the search for efficiency and in the use of resources and an adequate budget to enable the court to implement its mandate. Only then will the court be able to effectively produce the best results in the fight against impunity. We acknowledge that this year's budget negotiations have been smoother than in previous years. There was only a small difference to be noted between the budget proposal of the court and the budget recommended by the Committee on Budget and Finance. The CBF recognizes the efforts made by the courts to identify savings and efficiencies, taking into account the unique economic consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic. We commend the court for these efforts, and we hope that this budget, for the first time below the budget approved for the year before, will be sufficient for the court to accomplish its mission next year, even if its activities are still growing and salaries are rising. Both in 2018 and 19, a call was made by Belgium and other states parties to address the liquidity situation. We take note that, once again, this issue has not been sufficiently addressed due to the refusal of some states parties to take concrete and actionable measures in that regard. For several years, the court, the Committee on Budget and Finance, and auditors have warned states parties of the court's vulnerable cash flow situation, ensuring sufficient precautionary reserves, such as in the Working Capital Fund, is a matter of responsible fiscal management. We regret that states parties have not been able to agree on meeting the recommended minimum requirements for sufficient precautionary reserves. Mr. President, the high amount of arrears is a cause for great concern. We call upon states parties to fulfill their obligation to pay their outstanding contributions. Today, in an increasingly challenging environment, we must ensure that the court has adequate resources to meet the growing demand for justice in order to ensure that victims have access to the justice they deserve. Finally, we would like to thank the facilitator, His Excellency Ambassador Andrés Terán, and his team for their commitment and their work. Thank you, Mr. President, and please consider this statement as an official document of the Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your statement. As this resolution on the proposed program budget for 2021 has been adopted, the formal decision to appoint the Board of Audit and Inspection of the Republic of Korea as a new external auditor of the court has been now taken. In this regard, on behalf of the Board of Audit and Inspection of the Republic of Korea, Ambassador of Korea wishes to take the floor. Ambassador Jung, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Kwon, for giving me the floor. On behalf of the Board of Audit and Inspection, BAI, of the Republic of Korea, I am privileged to take the floor before the ASP on the occasion of our appointment as the external auditor of the court for the financial year 2021 to 2024. The Republic of Korea would like to express its heartfelt gratitude to the Audit Committee and the Committee on Budget and Finance for recommending and endorsing the appointment of the BAI as the external auditor of the court, and to state parties of the ASP for adopting the resolution that appoints the BAI as a new external auditor. We would also like to extend our deepest appreciation to the Court of Accounts of France for the hard work it has performed as the external auditor for the 9-year period from 2012 to 2020. With boundless gratitude for the confidence placed in us, we will do our best to demonstrate an unwavering commitment to performing our duties and fulfilling our responsibilities as the external auditor of the court in a way that maximizes efficiency and provides the highest quality of audit services. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your statement. As I see no further request, we shall now proceed to take action on the proposed program budget for 2021 itself, contained in document ICC ASP/19/10, as read in conjunction with the recommendation of the working group contained in its report. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking actions on the proposed program budget? I see none. Then may I take it that it is the wish of the Assembly to adopt by consensus the proposed program budget for 2021 contained in the document I referred to, as read in conjunction with the recommendation of the working group on the budget? I see no objection. It is so decided. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position after taking action on the proposed program budget? I see none. I also wish to express my appreciation on behalf of the Assembly for the assistance which the Chair of the Committee on Budget and Finance, Ms. Monica Sanchez Izquierdo, and the Vice Chair of the Committee, Mr. Werner Drummel, have provided at this session, as well as tireless effort of Ambassador Andres Terán. Thank you very much. The Assembly will now take action on the draft resolution on cooperation contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.5, which was introduced to the Assembly at the third plenary meeting yesterday. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking actions on the resolution? I see none. May I take it then it is the wish of the Assembly to adopt by consensus the draft resolution on cooperation contained in the document I referred to? I see no objection. It is so decided. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position after the adoption of the resolution on cooperation? I see none. The Assembly has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 21. The Assembly will now take action on the draft resolution contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.6 on the remuneration of the judges of the International Criminal Court, which was introduced to the Assembly at the third plenary meeting yesterday. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking action on the draft resolution? I see none. May I take it that it is the wish of the Assembly to adopt by consensus the draft resolution on the remuneration of judges contained in the document I referred to? I see no objection. It is so decided. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position after the adoption of the resolution? I see none. The Assembly has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 17. Now, we shall take action on the draft resolution on the procedure for adoption of decisions by the Assembly during the 19th session of the Assembly of States Parties to the Rome Statute, owing to the coronavirus disease, COVID-19 pandemic, contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.8. This draft resolution was recommended by the Bureau in the report with document symbol ICC ASP/19/34. The draft resolution was introduced to the Assembly at its fourth plenary meeting on the 15th of December. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking action on the resolution? I see none. Then may I take it that the Assembly now wishes to adopt the draft resolution contained in this document without a vote? I see no objection. It is so decided. Is there any delegation wishing to explain its position after the adoption of the resolution? I see none. I shall now introduce the draft resolution concerning a possible second resumption of the 19th session of the Assembly and the term of the current Bureau in relation thereto. The draft resolution is contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.9/Rev1. The revised version has been circulated a few moments ago with a small correction. The draft resolution was recommended by the Bureau at its meeting today. The resolution seeks to address the possibility that the Assembly will not be able to conclude its consideration of the agenda items, election of the prosecutor, and election of 6 judges during the resumed 19th session, which will commence tomorrow in New York. In such a situation, the resolution provides that the Bureau will consider the practicalities of holding a second resumption of the 19th session in New York as soon as possible in the first 2 months of 2021. If appropriate, the Bureau would proceed with the convening of the second resumption. In addition, the Bureau elected for the 17th to 19th session would continue to hold office until the close of the 19th session or until the 28th of February 2021, which comes earlier. We shall now take action on the draft resolution as contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.9/Rev1. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking action on the resolution? I see none. May I take it that the Assembly now wishes to adopt the draft resolution contained in the document I referred to without a vote? I see no objection. It is so decided. Thank you very much. Is there any delegation wishing to explain its position after the adoption of the resolution? I see none. Then we shall now take action on the draft resolution strengthening the International Criminal Court and the Assembly of State Parties, or Omnibus Resolution, contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.3. Is there any delegation that wishes to explain its position before taking action on the resolution? I see none. May I take it that the Assembly now wishes to adopt the draft omnibus resolution without a vote? I see no objection. It is so decided. Is there any delegation wishing to explain its position after the adoption of this resolution? I see none. Then we turn now to consideration of the draft resolution on the review of the International Criminal Court and the Rome Statute system. I have been informed by Vice President Horslund that informal consultation on that draft resolution continue. The relevant agenda item 13, will therefore remain open, and the Assembly will return to it during the resumed session in New York. Now we turn to the agenda item 7B, report of the Credentials Committee. I would like to give the floor to the chair of the Credentials Committee, Ambassador Mario Oyarzabal of Argentina, to present the report of the Credentials Committee contained in the document ICC-ASP/19/L.2. Ambassador Oyarzabal, you have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente, distinguidos delegados. Since my last oral report to the Assembly yesterday, the Credentials Committee held another meeting today, 16 December 2020. As regards the 19th session, the committee adopted the report which is before you in document ICC-ASP/19/L.2. I would like to bring to your attention the fact that since the issuance of the report, formal credentials have been submitted by 2 more state parties, the Czech Republic and Romania. The Credentials Committee adopted without a vote the draft resolution contained in paragraph 7 of the report, accepting the credentials of the representatives referred to in paragraphs 4 and 5 of the report. The committee recommends to the Assembly the adoption of the draft resolution contained in paragraph 11, whereby it would approve the report of the Credentials Committee. As regards the resumed 19th session, the committee had before it a memorandum by the Secretariat dated 16 December regarding the credentials of representatives of state parties. The committee would like to report to the Assembly that as of today, 16 December 2020, 15:30 hours, 44 formal credentials issued by a head of state or government or by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, as provided for in Rule 24 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, have been submitted to the Secretariat. Information from 53 parties regarding the appointment of state parties' representatives to the resumed 19th session has been communicated to the Secretariat by means of a cable, a telefax, or other electronic communication from the head of state or government or the Minister of Foreign Affairs. 26 state parties have not yet communicated any information regarding their representatives to the resumed 19th session. Afghanistan, Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, Benin, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Cambodia, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Dominica, Georgia, Ghana, Guinea, Guyana, Lesotho, Liechtenstein, Mali, Maldives, Nauru, Niger, Seychelles, Suriname, Uganda, Tajikistan, Vanuatu, and Zambia. The committee urges those delegations which have not yet submitted any information on the credentials of their representatives to the resumed 19th session to do so as soon as possible, as that session begins tomorrow in New York. The committee will hold a virtual meeting tomorrow morning, Hague time, to continue its consideration of the matter. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ambassador. I thank the Chair of the Credentials Committee for introducing the report. May I take it that the Assembly wishes to approve the report of the Credentials Committee as contained in the document referred to? I see no objection. It is so decided. The Assembly will now consider the draft report of the 19th session. Before proceeding to adopt the report, I invite Mr. Idrissa Sadio of Senegal, the rapporteur for the 19th session, to introduce the draft report contained in document ICC ASP/19/L.1. You have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. J'ai l'honneur de présenter le projet de rapport de l'Assemblée des États parties au statut de Rome de la Cour pénale internationale qui a tenu sa 19e session à La Haye du 7 au 17 décembre 2020. Le rapport figure dans le document ICC-ASP/19L1. Tous les renvois nécessaires aux résolutions adoptées par cette Assemblée seront reflétés dans le rapport, le cas échéant. Les documents officiels de la 19e session de l'Assemblée seront publiés en 2 volumes. Le volume 1 contiendra le rapport de l'Assemblée composé de 3 parties. La première partie comprend les débats de la session et est divisée en 2 chapitres. Le chapitre A, intitulé Introduction, constitué des paragraphes 1 à 15, fournit des informations factuelles sur la convocation et la participation à la 19e session, l'ouverture de la session, la composition du comité de vérification des pouvoirs, l'adoption de l'ordre du jour et l'organisation des travaux. Le chapitre B, intitulé Examen des questions inscrites à l'ordre du jour de la 19e session de l'Assemblée, porte sur les travaux de la 19e session. Il fournit des informations factuelles sur les activités de l'Assemblée concernant chaque point de l'ordre du jour de la session. Il fait référence aux divers résultats concernant les activités entreprises, les résolutions et décisions adoptées, les recommandations formulées et les accords conclus par l'Assemblée. Le chapitre B est divisé en sections. Les paragraphes 16 à 17 de la section 1 concernent les États qui présentent un arriéré de contribution. La section 2, paragraphes 18 à 19 du projet de rapport, concerne les pouvoirs des représentants des États parties à la 19e session. Les paragraphes 20 à 22 de la section 3 font référence au débat général qui a eu lieu au cours de la 19e session. La section 4, paragraphes 23 à 24, fait référence au rapport sur les activités du Bureau dont l'Assemblée a pris note. Le paragraphe 25 de la section 5 concerne le rapport sur les activités de la Cour dont l'Assemblée a pris note. Le paragraphe 26 de la section fait référence au rapport du Conseil de direction du Fonds d'affectation spéciale au profit des victimes et à la déclaration de son président dont l'Assemblée a pris note. Le paragraphe 27 de la section 7 indiquera que l'Assemblée a considéré le rapport et recommandations figurant dans le document intitulé « Examen d'experts indépendants du système de la Cour pénale internationale et du statut de Rome, rapport final, daté du 30 septembre 2020, et que l'Assemblée a décidé de poursuivre l'examen de ce point du jour à la reprise de la 19e session à New York. Les paragraphes 28 à 33 de la section 7 concernant l'examen et l'adoption du budget du 19e exercice financier. L'Assemblée a approuvé le rapport du groupe de travail figurant dans le document ICC-ASP/19/WGPB/CRP1. Elle a également adopté le budget de programme pour 2020. En outre, l'Assemblée a adopté la résolution ICC-ASP/19-RES. Le numéro sera indiqué ultérieurement concernant le budget programme, qui couvre notamment les domaines suivants. Petit A, budget programme pour 2021, comprenant des crédits d'un montant total de 148 259 € pour les grands programmes et les tableaux d'effectifs de chacun des grands programmes. Le petit B, fonds de roulement pour 2021. Petit C, arriérés de contribution. Petit D, fonds en cas d'imprévu. Petit E, barème des quotes-parts pour la répartition des dépenses de la Cour. Petit F, financement des autorisations de dépenses pour 2021. Petit G, locaux de la Cour. Petit H, virement de crédit entre les grands programmes au titre du budget programme approuvé pour 2020. Petit I, audit. Petit J, contrôle de la gestion budgétaire. Et enfin, petit K, élaboration des propositions budgétaires. Les points ci-dessus et ceux contenus dans la résolution ICC-ASP/19-RES, le numéro sera également précisé ultérieurement, seront reflétés dans le rapport final. Le paragraphe 34 de la section 8 concerne l'examen des rapports d'audit. Cette question est traitée dans le rapport du groupe de travail sur le budget programme. Le rapport du commissaire aux comptes, le projet de budget programme pour 2021 et les rapports du comité du budget et des finances figureront dans le volume 2 des documents officiels. Le paragraphe 35 de la section 19 fait référence à l'examen des travaux et du mandat opérationnel du mécanisme de contrôle indépendant et indiquera que l'Assemblée a adopté par consensus la résolution ICC-ASP/19-RES 3 qui contient le mandat opérationnel révisé du mécanisme de contrôle indépendant annexe 2. Le paragraphe 36 de la section 10 concernant les amendements au statut de Rome et au règlement de procédure et de preuve, l'Assemblée a pris note du rapport du groupe de travail sur les amendements. La section 11, paragraphe 37, indique que l'Assemblée a adopté la résolution ICC-ASP/19-RES sur la coopération. Le paragraphe 38 de la section 12 fait référence à la décision concernant les dates et lieux des prochaines sessions de l'Assemblée des États parties. Le paragraphe 39 de la section 13 rend compte des décisions concernant la date et le lieu des 34e et 35e sessions du comité du budget et des finances. Comme par le passé, le rapport sur la résolution d'organisation générale ne comportera pas de paragraphe distinct, car les décisions qui y sont prises sont déjà reflétées dans les différentes parties du rapport. La section 14, paragraphes 40 à 41, traite des questions diverses. Cette section exprimera la reconnaissance de l'Assemblée à un État partie qui a versé une contribution au fonds d'affectation spéciale pour la participation des pays les moins avancés et autres États en développement aux travaux de l'Assemblée. Cette section du rapport indiquera également qu'à cause des incertitudes résultant de la pandémie du coronavirus sur les voyages et sur les méthodes de travail de la 19e session de l'Assemblée, il n'a pas été possible de procéder à l'utilisation du fonds d'affectation spéciale pour la participation des pays les moins développés dans les activités de l'Assemblée. La deuxième partie du rapport contiendra les observations et recommandations de l'Assemblée concernant les rapports des auditeurs, les recommandations de l'Assemblée relatives au projet de budget programme pour 2021 et les observations et recommandations de l'Assemblée sur des questions ayant des incidences financières et budgétaires. En ce qui concerne la partie 3, je suggère que le secrétariat soit invité, comme par le passé, à incorporer dans le rapport final les résolutions adoptées par l'Assemblée à sa 19e session. Les annexes au rapport de la 19e session comprendront le rapport de la Commission de vérification des pouvoirs, le rapport du groupe de travail sur le budget programme, la déclaration faite par le président du comité du budget et des finances, les déclarations faites par les États pour expliquer leur vote et une liste de documents. Je voudrais demander aux délégations qui ont des corrections linguistiques ou rédactionnelles dans le texte, dans n'importe laquelle des langues, de bien vouloir les soumettre directement au secrétariat. Les corrections seront ensuite intégrées aux documents officiels. Monsieur le Président, je termine mon exposé sur le projet de rapport sur la 19e session de l'Assemblée en recommandant son adoption par celle-ci. Je vous remercie.
I thank the rapporteur for introducing the report of the 19th session of the Assembly. As indicated by the reporter himself, I also again request the delegates wishing to propose editorial or technical corrections to please contact the Secretariat directly. That said, may I take it that it is the wish of the Assembly to adopt the report of the 19th session of the Assembly of State Parties as a whole? I see no objection. The report of the 19th session of the Assembly contained in document referred to by the rapporteur is adopted. As recommended by the rapporteur, the Secretariat will compile the report and the relevant annexes as soon as possible. The final version will be posted on the official website of the Court. Distinguished delegates, this brings us to the end of the work of this first part of the 19th session of the Assembly. I would like to particularly acknowledge the work conducted during 2020 in the working groups in New York and The Hague, and by the facilitators and country focal points as they carried out the mandates of the Assembly under the leadership of their respective coordinators, Vice President Ambassador Michael Mulinar and Vice President Ambassador Jens Otto Hoslund. I would also like to thank delegations for the commitment and flexibility demonstrated during the last few days, particularly in the unusual circumstances we have faced as a result of the pandemic. The constructive approach of all participants has allowed the Assembly to successfully resolve a range of issues. I trust that we'll be able to carry forward the mandates contained in the resolutions which we have adopted today. I wish to sincerely thank all state parties, members of civil society, observer states, and of course the Court for their support and cooperation, without which we would not have been able to successfully conclude our work. I think I received a prior request from the CICC to take the floor, but which does not seem to be the case.
Maybe ask him if he wishes to speak.
Matteo, could you confirm that?
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Yes, we are trying to connect and engage with the online platform as we speak. So we should be able to address the Assembly in just a moment, if you could allow us. Thank you.
Living in a very technical area. Seems to be ready. So I give the floor to representative of Human Rights Watch, representing the coalition for the ICC. You have the floor.
Me? Great. Thank you very much. I apologize for the connection issues, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm Liz Evenson from Human Rights Watch, but I'm delivering this statement on behalf of the Coalition for the International Criminal Court and Ms. Melinda Reed, our acting convener. Mr. President, as this 19th Assembly session concludes, the Coalition for the ICC confirms its strong support for the court and the Rome Statute system. Despite the unique challenges and constraints of this session's hybrid nature, we have participated in large numbers and have some brief observations to share. First, as this session resumes tomorrow in New York, we urge states parties to ensure a proactive, fair, informed, and transparent election process for the next ICC prosecutor, and to elect the most highly qualified candidates in the 2020 judicial elections, to ensure the court benefits from the highest quality leadership. Second, states parties must provide the court with adequate resources. repeated restrictions of the court's budget without sufficient consideration for its workload continue to undercut its ability to fulfill its mandate. We again call on the Assembly to renew a genuine dialogue with the court and civil society regarding the court's resource needs. Third, we note ongoing discussions around the review process and look forward to a timely assessment of recommendations from the independent expert review that is inclusive of victims and civil society, especially in situation and preliminary examination countries. Fourth, we welcome your strong statements of support for the court in the face of unprecedented political attacks and call on you to maintain constant vigilance to protect the court's mandate from unwarranted attacks and interference. Finally, we recall that the global pandemic has had an impact not only on the world's health, but also on the world's most vulnerable, on their human rights and access to justice, and on the human rights defenders who seek to protect them. We urge you to support, defend, and protect human rights defenders and their work in service of the world's most vulnerable people in 2021 and the years to come. Mr. President, we remain ready to continue to strengthen and support the court and work together with this Assembly so that it can be a force of progress and stay true to the preamble of the Rome Statute. As we conclude this session, the Coalition for the International Criminal Court stands ready to engage with you and the court to share our vision, experience, and expertise to seek solutions to make the system more fair, effective, independent, accessible, and accountable. Thank you very much.
I thank the CICC for the statement. I now declare the 19th session of the Assembly of State Parties to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court suspended. Tomorrow, the resumed 19th session will commence in New York. Due to travel restrictions, I will not be able to participate in person, but Vice President Mlinar will preside. I wish our colleagues every success in the resumed session. Before closing, I wish to note that an invitation has been sent for a joint meeting of the Hague and New York working groups after the conclusion of this plenary to continue informal consultation on the draft resolution on the review of the ICC and the Rome Statute system. The meeting on WebEx will begin in around 10 minutes. The meeting is adjourned.